I think we are all set. Leslie, you can start interpreting as I'm speaking. Welcome, Robin. Now, apologies to our guests. We have two guests with us today. We have Christian Frost and Robin Miners. Robin Miners is the new manager of transit and parking. Did I get that right, Robin? Yes. Yes, I did. So Nicole has moved on to a new role, and Robin is now the manager of transit and parking. So we're very happy to have you here. Before we have any information from you guys, we need to go through our voting, our election. So we have 3 positions. They'll probably go very quickly, and then we'll have you on. Okay. Leslie, how is the sound?
Oh, it's not too bad. It is all the sidebar conversation, and that's really loud. Like if we just kind of keep it quiet, which I know which will be hard, but it seems to be okay. And I'm watching the closed captioning, and the captioning today looks pretty close and good. So I'll just keep my eye on the captioning and just try to follow that. If it gets too crazy, I will interrupt. It's just because I'm just trying to capture everything so everybody can be included, but I just have 2 hands.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you for that reminder. All right, welcome everyone. Maybe we will do a roundtable introduction so everybody knows where everybody is in the room. I've kind of changed up the seating a little bit, so it might be a little confusing. Wayne, would you mind starting?
Wayne Scharfenberg, committee member.
Diane Gerhart, committee member.
Carrie Tuckett, deaf-blind intervener.
Dave Perry, city public works.
Carol Magnan, committee member.
Don McConnell, retired planning director.
And, oh, I guess you're not chair.
No, I'm not.
As of today.
Until we have our election.
That's right.
Christian Frost, trade supervisor in the transit department.
Robin Miners, manager of transit and parking.
Diane Morrell, accessibility coordinator.
Derek LaValle, member of the AAC and was the chair of the site plan committee.
Craig Kohler, committee.
Samir Thawa, city planning.
And online we have Dre.
Hi, I'm Dre Labonte from Thrive Child Development Center.
And we also have Councillor Hollingsworth.
Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. Again, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we are gonna jump right into the elections. The first one up is chairperson. So we do nominations from the floor. So are there any nominations for the position of chairperson? Either to nominate someone else or to self-nominate?
I'd like to nominate Don. I second.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, seeing none. Dawn, you are acclaimed as chairperson for the committee. I should have asked you if you're willing to allow your name to stand.
You told me I was.
I made an assumption, but.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful. Chairperson, would you like to handle the rest?
I guess I could. First of all, thanks very much, everybody. I think we've done some good stuff for the last year, and I think this year is going to be even more exciting. I would like to acknowledge that Leslie is with us. She's our ASL interpreter, and thanks very much for being with us, Leslie. It's great to have you here. I would like to open the floor for nominations for vice chair, and I would also like to nominate Derek as vice chair if we have a seconder. We have lots of seconders. Okay, Carrie, I think you got your hand up first.
Yeah, you can do it.
Are there any other nominations for chair, or sorry, for vice chair? Given that there are none.
Who did you say?
Derek?
Derek.
Oh, okay,
Derek, you are
okay,
acclaimed as our vice chair, thank you very much.
okay.
And we are also going to open the floor for nominations for our site plan chairperson. Craig?
I would like to nominate Derek, but I would return to that role.
Okay.
Derek, will you serve?
Yes, I will.
Is there a seconder for Derek as site plan chair committee
Can I,
chairperson?
can I nominate, Carol?
Certainly. Is there a seconder for Carol?
Sure.
Wayne?
Yeah.
Is there a seconder for Derek?
Nominate Derek, I can't second my own.
You can't second him.
Can we have a seconder for
Would
Derek?
they usually do two roles, like Derek in this case? I'm not.
Derek
I'm not
has done two
Okay.
roles in the past, because there seemed to be a shortage of people wanting some of the responsibility that goes with it.
So we
Carol,
have
did you
Carol.
want, did you want to?
Oh, I accept.
Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't even ask if you wanted to.
So we have a mover and a seconder to nominate Carol for the position of chairperson of our site plan committee. We have a mover. Is there a seconder for Derek to nominate Derek for that position? Given that there are none, I would then declare that Carol is the new chair of our site plan committee. And Derek, I'd like to thank you for your time on the committee, and it has been very useful. And I'd really encourage you to stay on the committee.
I am the student committee.
Perfect.
Okay.
As well as the chair of the committee, of the overall accessibility advisory committee. Moving right along, and we do this every meeting, we have to ask for any declarations of conflicts of interest. This is a legal requirement, not that we get a lot of declarations of conflicts of interest. Again, you only have a conflict of interest if you or a member of your immediate family has a financial interest in the decision that's being taken. Seeing none, big surprise. Let's move right along to the approval of our minutes of our last meeting, which was the December 11th meeting. Do we have a mover to approve those?
I have a couple of comments on it first before it's approved.
Okay,
Couple of changes.
sure.
In the minutes, it states guide dogs are not allowed in two places. And it says restaurants, and it should not say restaurants. What it should say is kitchens, food preparation, because a dog is allowed in a restaurant, they're just not allowed in the back kitchen. So in the minutes, it's written restaurants.
Yes, I wondered about that. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I know the committee's here for 4 years. We still have 2 more years to go. But in the minutes, and I don't think we are looking for new committee members. But in the minutes, it said we were.
We are not currently looking for more members. If we look around the table right now, we fit. If we get up to our full complement of committee members, we will not fit. So I'm very much in favor of keeping the committee as it is at this point. So that was an error. There may have been a conversation about looking for or losing committee members, looking for committee members in the future, but that is an error. That will be corrected as well. Thank you, Carol.
Thanks.
Are there any other comments or questions on the minutes? That being the case, can we have a mover and seconder to approve the minutes as amended?
I would like to move that we accept the minutes with Carol's changes.
Derek has moved it. Do we have a seconder? Sandra, you're our seconder, or you have a question? She's a seconder. Perfect. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. That's carried. we have on our new business, we have two matters. The first one is Robin and Christian are here on the transit optimization study. And Heather, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, good to see you.
All right. Did you have a presentation?
I
or were
don't
you just
have a
gonna
formal
chat for a bit?
presentation, I was just gonna talk to.
That would be
them,
great.
if that's okay?
That would be great. Is it all right if people interrupt you as we go along? if they have
Absolutely,
questions?
any questions that come up, feel free to interrupt me. We're still kind of in the early phases of the whole study, so right now, we're at a stage where our consultant WSP, they've collected all of the data, so that's all of our ridership information, all of our stop usage, all of our ABL data.
ABL data, what? Jargon.
So
Yeah.
automatic vehicle locators, so just the tracking or the GPS.
Yeah.
It's on each unit.
So
Sorry about
that,
that. You folks know your drug problem.
Yeah. no, that's okay.
Much appreciated.
And so what the ABLs measure is how quickly they're going, how slow they're going, so we can see how often our buses are on time, if they're running what we call hot, which means they're too fast, or if they're slow, all of that data. So right now, last week, the consultant presented to city staff, kind of a lay of the land, if you will, so just the existing conditions, so we learned a couple things, like we know that most of we have our highest ridership on Wednesdays. It peaks at about 2 or 3 p.m. Our ridership kind of declines over the weekend and into the evenings. So just general information like that. The big part of this study is in 2 weeks' time, we're gonna have a public information session. So I did bring a poster, but the printer didn't, it's not very nice, so I'm gonna make sure that we have these sent out to everybody here and we post them all over town. But we strongly encourage and invite everyone to come and tell us all of the feedback that you have about public transit. We want to know what your experiences have been, and we want to know what you wish to see in the future of our transit system.
And will our input help?
Absolutely, we need all of the input that we can get, so we strongly encourage everyone to participate. If you can't attend in person, we will have an online survey as well. That will hopefully be going live in about a week, so you can fill out the survey, you can come in person to a public engagement session. After that first public engagement session, there's gonna be kind of a pause in the public world, but in the background, the consultant will be, they call it optioneering. So that's when they're gonna kind of prepare some of the proposed options that they might recommend, saying this might work better for you. A big piece of this as well is the consultant is going to make a recommendation as to where the downtown terminal is. I know that that's a very big ticket item, so if you have any feedback on that as well. We're also looking to get specific feedback on our on-demand system. So for any of our conventional transit users, that is on the weekends after 7 p.m. So rather than waiting at a stop, you would have to use an app or call a dispatch service, and you kind of schedule your ride. The bus doesn't use a traditional route. It kind of, we have software that creates a route. So it's our lower demand time, and we're looking for feedback on that as well. We hope to see those options. Yep.
Derek, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, sorry, I think Derek was lifting his hand there.
No, I dropped my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were lifting your hand, my apologies.
No.
Yeah, we're hoping to see some potential options late May, late June. And those will be shared with the public as well in the same format. So we'll have a public engagement session. We'll have plenty of opportunity for everyone to provide their feedback on those proposed options. And then from there, we intend to take this to council. I believe there's one city council meeting in August. So that's when we hope to have the consultant come and present their findings, present their recommendations, and we will go from there. So I am happy to take any questions you guys have on that. I hope that you guys all can come either in person or participate on the online survey. Yeah.
Eric, go ahead.
Okay, we need to have a calendar that's electronic to let people know when the two bookings for like a Greyhound game or whatever, because I've called on the 1st of March and I wanted to go somewhere the 7th of March and I just can't get on because the bus is already pre-booked. If we had something that like we could put like a time on it on our phones, like a calendar that would tell us, okay, if you wanna go here, you have to book it 2 weeks in advance.
I'm gonna ask a clarifying question, Derek.
Okay,
Do you generally know well in advance for some of these scheduled outings? Like the Hounds games are a predictable schedule, you can follow.
yeah,
That's right.
but that's what I'm saying, sometimes I can't make it to Greyhound games, cause I didn't book on the 28th, but I should book on the 28th.
Right. You can get your helper to help you to put an alarm on your phone.
Okay.
For 2 weeks. I mean, I can help you with that as well,
Okay,
but I'm pretty sure Ronan can help you with that.
okay,
Just chat with him about that.
because,
I'm sure he hates that you miss games too.
yeah,
The 2 week booking window for someone who has a hard time navigating a calendar is quite a challenge.
Okay, and I should have noted as well that a review of the Paribus system is a part of this study. We're not looking at that at this phase of the study, but that's kind of phase 3, so that will happen later on in the summertime. So that's really good feedback, thank you.
because quite often I'll call and can't get on and.
Great, go ahead.
Just mentioned, phase 3. Do you have a designated time for that period? Because the use of parallel transit, paratransit service is probably one of the principal focuses of this body has been since before this body existed. The first accessibility committee was actually headed by transit for how many decades? We had a separate bus committee that predates us by how many? 2 or 3 decades, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question about the survey. How many questions are on it?
The survey hasn't been finalized yet. We are aiming for 12 to 15. We don't want it to be too long because we want people to finish the survey from start to finish, but it shouldn't be more than 15 questions.
So when it's ready and everything, have you thought about putting up a table at Station Mall? To reach more people that catch transit?
Yeah, Station Mall is a good idea. We are talking about all of the places that we want to put staff at a table and an information booth kind of idea. Station Mall is definitely a good option for us.
And the Millmart, when they have, is it Wednesdays and Saturdays?
Yeah.
Maybe a table there too, because it gets.
Market's a good idea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you do get the survey, you'll have it online, you'll have it a paper copy?
Yes.
Hard copy?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and is there any way that I could get a couple of extra hard copies?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Diana?
Yeah, I was wondering, is it, I forgot where I was going with this. Is this going to be on a weekend or a weekday?
First.
Like a
It's
Saturday?
it's actually, I think it's 2 weeks from today. So March 25th from 4 to 7 at the Civic Center.
Is that a Saturday?
That's a Tuesday.
Perfect.
That's a Tuesday.
2 weeks from today?
It's 2 weeks from today. The news release is supposed to go out today because we did want to make sure Paribus clients were able to book that. And we are going to have extra availability on our Paribuses as well, because we know that we have a lot of users who are gonna wanna come out and provide their feedback.
Perfect. Okay, now some of our, I'm at the Finnish Rest Home, and we are really lobbying for Saturday service.
Okay.
And obviously, it's not gonna happen till next year, but, but can we do a petition, like the ones that can't make it on Tuesday, can I put up a something and everybody can sign, would that count? Or do they have to go in person to be counted?
I don't mean to interject, but I can't remember, were you there when we came and did the
Yeah.
So we came up for a little Q&A session with the group.
Yes,
I forget the name of the lady that organized it, but we came up to the
with
721 North, right?
Right,
So all of that, do you remember that day, there was myself and Marcy, our customer service representative?
exactly,
So Marcy was taking notes that whole time,
right?
and all of those notes have also been provided to the consultant already as part of the process. But I would say by any means, and I don't mean to tell you what to do, but
No,
if there's more information that wants to come forward, we welcome all
so
information.
I'm hoping with that group that counts as the need that we need that bus there, not enough people signed or, you know, not enough people care. And again, it's not just for now with the population that's aging faster than lightning now. Anyway, like we wanna know that you're taking it serious, it's not buried. Like we feel like we're, you know, everybody, we come and we talk to you, whatever, and it's okay. And then turn around and they say, oh, well, there wasn't enough people to implement it. When there's those people that were at that meeting, but there were others that couldn't go. Some of them left letters, some of them didn't.
That's right.
And the ones that are down the road just moving in now, I mean, it is.
Just so I understand what you're referring to, are you suggesting increased more frequency on Saturdays?
Just service period on Saturday.
Okay,
The main concern from their group is the community bus. So the community
Okay.
bus right now is 6:30 to 6:30.
right,
And they're happy with that.
and that's Monday to Friday?
Correct.
Right, okay.
And so they were looking for additional Saturday and Sunday service for the
Yeah.
community bus.
Especially Saturday, even if just the one day would make people happy, because all the events are on weekends. Your community nights, your
Bazaar, craft shows.
the craft shows, right, the music that they have at Roberta Bonder, they'd love to go.
Mhm.
These people would be very supportive to these events, but we don't have that service on weekends.
Robin, can I just clarify something?
Absolutely.
Which is, the study that's underway now, you talked about phase 3. Obviously, there's 3 phases.
So there's more than 3 phases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But we don't wanna wait 5 years either.
But my question, it really comes down to, is the study also looking at changing routes? Like we
Yes.
had a route optimization study. not
This
that
is
long ago.
essentially that.
Okay,
This is
perfect. That's
essentially a
what I
road
wanted to know.
optimization.
Could you talk a little bit about how those changes get made? I don't know if that's a fair question, because
Yeah.
this came up at our site plan committee last time. You know, Sambia Suchi Council has since approved it as building a new 220 unit development right across from Collegiate Heights. And the comment was made, it'd be great to have bus service there. Right.
And
So-
that data was provided to the consultants. We did have our planning staff heavily involved with that data in the beginning. They provided all of the upcoming developments, where they can expect the future growth to go.
But how did they actually make a decision then?
And where are they from? Who are these consultants? Are they people from the Sioux
They
that
are
know what
not
we're
in
dealing
Sault
with?
Ste. Marie. They are in Toronto.
Yeah, there you go again.
So
Just,
right now, my understanding is they're gonna take all of the data that we've provided them, which is
and they make the
significantly.
decision.
They don't make the decision. They are going
They
to present options to us.
They provide feedback.
We are going
And the
to,
only people make the decision are council and staff.
And why
It's going
can't
to
we
be
do that
decision
ourselves here? Why can't people that live in the Sioux make these decisions for the Sioux?
the decision will be made by Sioux Ranks. It will come down to council. So WSP is going to present options to us. We, as the staff, and based on the feedback that we receive from the public, we are going to perhaps maybe fine tune some of those options. And then ultimately, I don't know if it's going to be 1 option, 2 options, 3 options. The options will be presented to city council, and city council will have the final say.
So you may wish to chat with your counselor.
Absolutely.
And that's
And
why.
and I hope it moves faster than like the bear train that took 10 years.
So this presentation will be at August, this council, assuming there's no major hiccups in our timeline here. The presentation will be made to council, and that will include the option recommendations. So this is actually a very tight timeline that we're working with. It's happening very, very fast. So we expect by the end of the summer, our discussion will be very different than what we're having today, right? We will have seen some options presented, and we will hopefully have a path forward as to what comes next. How are we improving the system specifically?
When we're having meetings going forward, should we consider the community bus hours of the community bus so that they can get to the meeting? Because I guess if the meeting starts at 7, then they can't take a community bus there, and then they're forced to use.
Yeah, so for sure, so if there's ever transportation issues with anybody getting to these public sessions, reach out to transit, whether it's through email or just call our customer service line. We'll definitely make sure, but this one in particular on March 25th, March 27th, March 25th. March 25th, 2025. So that one is scheduled 4 to 7, so that's within the community bus hours and on that day. But again, should anybody need additional transportation? And something else that I know I keep going back to, and I know I mentioned it in our Q&A session at 721 North that day, is even though the community bus might not be running, and I know I'm gonna get some, I can already feel the feedback that I might get. I have to make sure that I state there are other options for transit. I know that they're not coming right to the door like the community bus does. So I need to make sure that even though 721 North Street and 725 and 727 and that whole area is definitely a point of concern, and you guys have done a great job of advocating for yourselves, by the way. The other thing that I have to make sure that I say is it is still serviced by the Steelton Second Line route in that area, but it does not go right door to door into town.
Exactly, but we have to cross that street.
Yes.
There's so many of us that are visually impaired with walkers, and you try and cross that street to get on those buses.
It serves as a practical barrier.
It's terrifying.
It's
That's why I think
one of the things with that corner is, at one time, North Street used to go all the way down, but now SS goes down there. North Street turns at Habitat for Humanity, it's not there anymore, but turns down Second Line. Why can't, maybe to make it a little bit easier, North Street come back and do its old route the way it used to? Go all the way down north and then go up down Sackville and then back onto Second Line.
So again, these are all options are something that's that we take with a grain of salt. And right now with the timing of the routes, when we start looking to change things, like Don mentioned earlier, the recent development that was McDonald Avenue. So that one, when you look at it, our Sioux College bus goes down Prue Street. So at one point, 15 or 20 years ago, it used to go down Gladstone, and it used to service that little area. That, to most people, you look at it and say, that's just a little bit of a tweak. But what does that do to the rest of the runtime for that route? So usually you can't get more without taking from somewhere else. And that's usually where we need the information from, whether it's our AVL or our ridership, because every time you make a tweak or a change, now you might be adding service somewhere else, but it is going to get diminished from somewhere else. So
you're saying then you are not for us because we have a bus going.
No.
So not to worry. Another thing, heat, if it's really warm or hot out, to stand out there on that pavement and wait. We have to make sure we're there at least 10 minutes early, if not earlier, to catch the bus. And then there's the time of winter, climbing over snowbanks and icebergs, etc., to get across and stand out there in the freezing. I mean,
no, if I
young people, yeah, if I were 20 years younger, no problem.
No, if I came across as that I'm not advocating for you, that's not the case. I apologize if that's the way it came across.
Well, that's how I feel, like, hey, you've already got,
No, I trust, I would love to have everybody be able to have door-to-door service, but we also have to remember that we are, working within confines of a budget, and by all means, like I said many times, your whole group has done a great job in advocating for your whole area, so that's all already been provided back to the consultants, and if you want to provide us with more and come to that information session, the
if
more
it would help, yes, we will be there in numbers, but if it, what's the point if it's already how?
Nothing has been determined, there has been no
No, but it's
decisions.
already sort of in the books that, well, then that means we have to lose the service here or here.
I don't think that that's what Christian meant. What he's saying is that
if
We have service, yeah. And it's on Saturdays, like, why can we do it on the week, during the week, but not on Saturday?
And those could be recommendations that come back, and that could be something that we look into. But we're gonna have to compile all this information before they make any decisions.
Yeah.
Or aid us in making the decisions if that sounds like
Yes.
better.
Okay.
Dawn, Councillor Hollingsworth.
Councillor Hall Sandberg, go right ahead, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you for your patience.
Absolutely. Great discussion. Excellent discussion. Thank you. Just a couple of questions. I should know the answer, but I don't. What is the difference between on-demand bus and the community bus? Do we still have the on-demand bus?
yes, so the community bus is part of our conventional system, so that runs Monday to Friday. Our regular routes are kind of in a loop system where they go around town almost in a loop and they meet up at the terminal at various points in town. The community bus goes to very specific hotspots in the community, so the Finnish Rest Home, it goes to Walmart, I believe, some grocery stores as well. I don't remember all of them at the top of my head. On demand is the service that is used on Saturday and Sunday evenings only. So at about, I believe it's 7 in the evening, our conventional system stops and we switch to on demand. So how that works is you have an app. I believe you can use the website on a desktop as well. And can you phone in as well?
Yep.
You can also phone in, so you're booking a ride with the bus. And the software that we use kind of engineers a route with all of the requests and the schedules on there. So that runs until 11 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday evening.
Can I
Okay.
elaborate on that, explain it a little bit better?
Absolutely.
Okay, just gonna explain this to make it more accessible for everybody, right? So bus on demand. I need to catch the bus Saturday night, Sunday night. Got my cell phone, that's if I have a cell phone now. If I don't have a cell phone, you might as well forget, I might as well walk, right?
That's right. A lot of us
So
don't.
I get my cell phone out and I dial transit bus on demand. If I'm outside, I can't hear it very good because the wind's blowing. Good thing I don't wear hearing aids, because if I had hearing aids, I probably wouldn't even hear the dispatcher at all. So anyway, if I can hear it clear enough, I could say I would like a bus at the corner of Gore Street and Queen Street. Okay, we'll have a bus there in 10 minutes. Well, what corner do I go? Gore and Queen. There's 4 corners. 4 corners on Gore and Queen. You need to explain to me what corner. So now I walk over to that corner. Oh, and then my daughter or son come by and they walk and they say, hey, Mom. I says, hey, why don't you come with me? We're heading over to Walmart or something. So they're at the bus stop. Now I had already ordered that bus. Bus stops, they can't get on. Why can't they get on with me? Because they didn't phone to book their ride on on bus on demand. I'm the only one allowed. Now, had I booked them at the same time, then they could get on. So now I'm on the bus, all by myself. Never know what route I'm on because it's not the same route. The call system doesn't work properly. You get used to routes, eh? And then it stops, let's say at Food Basic on Pine Street, and it lets somebody off. And there's 4 people with all their groceries sitting at the bus shelter there waiting for the bus to come. And the bus stops. And this person gets off the bus and those people want to get on the bus. Guess what? They can't get on. Want to know why? Because they never booked the ride. They never booked the ride. So the bus driver closes the doors and drives away. That's only if those people don't get too upset, and hopefully they don't attack that bus driver. Because if they do, I'm on the bus. I can't see what's going on at the front. Now my life's in jeopardy, okay? So, bus driver drives away, leaves those people there because they have to phone, okay? Bus drives away.
Is it?
And it's going all over the place. And then it has to stop because it forgot to drop somebody off. So the bus has got to turn around and go drop somebody off. And then it continues on its route. And then it passes your stop. And why does it pass your stop? Because the drivers have everything on an iPad. And as you get on and off that bus, they have to delete it. And your name gets deleted by mistake. Nobody even knows you're on the bus. Bus drivers, thank goodness they're good. They'll drop me off. That was my experience. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Bus on demand needs to go. Don't waste people's time. It's one of the worst things here in Sault Ste. Marie.
If I may, is it fair to say that the whole on-demand bus system is getting looked at as part of this study?
That was my next
Thank you.
question.
Yes,
Thank
so,
you. It has struggled at times.
and we need that feedback. What you just
Yeah.
said is important feedback, because
Yeah.
we need to know what people's experiences are, because we won't know to fix it, right? We need to hear what their
Exactly.
experience is.
And that brings me to my other question,
Just
if you
Sarah,
don't
back to
mind.
you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Chair. That's why I asked that question, because I think on the demand bus, when we first started it, it has lots of benefits and the bus drivers are outstanding. And as Carol kindly suggested, there's some areas that we need to focus on. So I am glad I asked that question because I wanted to know if this on-demand bus is also part of this study, and it sounds like it is.
Yes, absolutely.
And hypothetically, it may help with the Saturday, if we change it to during the day, it may help with some of these events that the other group, others have talked about. So I have 2 other questions, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Are you also asking for feedback on this open house about the equipment that you use?
Yep. What
Okay.
specific equipment? And the answer is yes, but I'm just curious.
So there are some people that will use the regular transit system, and some of my constituents are seniors that have troubles walking in the snow, find it difficult to get onto the bus because they don't know what to grab. So they're asking, is there more noticeable grab handles, or is there a cane they can borrow to use while they're trying to get to their seat? If they forgot their cane, or if their cane slipped, or some other device that could help them.
I don't know if you, I'm sure, I'll try to respond to that. So on every one of the low floor buses that we now have in the fleet, both sets of doors, whether it be front or back, even though everybody should be boarding from the front, does have noticeable grab handles. They're yellow. But as far as the canes, we don't provide canes to anybody. Hopefully they have their devices with them. And the other thing that I would mention to that, even though the bus does lower and a ramp comes out, if those folks are going through some challenging issues, maybe Parabus might be an option for them. And I don't mean to force that on anybody, but it's just we do assessments. We help with travel training. So if there's somebody that's having an issue, and I've worked with the committee in the past, and Diane has set up some sessions for us. We have some people that might be wondering, does my device even fit on a bus? We've gone out and we've met with those folks at their locations just to run through a scenario with them and give them a chance to go through the whole process prior to actually doing it on a live route. So if those folks need to reach out to us, I would make sure that I advocate for that as we're here, sitting here talking. Feel free to give us a call, whether it's an email or a call, we can set that up with those folks. But the short answer is, yes, there is, devices on the door for them to grab, if that is the answer.
Do want to comment on that. I agree, there are bars and everything, and I can find them no problem. Having a cane available to people, I don't think is a good idea, because the canes are designed specifically for your height and everything, and that could be a liability thing. So if the cane doesn't fit you, you don't use it. So there's enough bars all the way down the bus that you do have something to hang on to.
Okay. And if you don't mind, my final question is, you have the GPS tracking so we can determine how fast the bus goes. We can determine how late they are. Is there any discussion about having the GPS tracking available to the public so that you can see that you have 10 minutes to get to the bus stop?
So, sorry to take that. So, through the AnyRide app that we have that's available to the public, any transit user can go right on the AnyRide app, and it's through the website. They can literally pull up, so it doesn't show you every bus, but if you are specifically waiting for, let's say, the East Side bus at Churchill Plaza, you put that stop in there and it'll tell you the next bus is by in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the wait time might be.
And for those who don't have the app or a cell phone, they can call the office and we can look at exactly where the bus is and we can tell you, yes, this one is 5 minutes behind.
Okay, great. And final question. It's a capital expense, but are you considering, like other communities, where you may have an electronic sign on certain bus stops to say the bus is 2 minutes away? So if you don't have a cell phone or you have troubles using your cell phone, you can glance up and look at electronic sign. Unfortunately, Carol, I understand that this may not be beneficial to everyone, but I know other communities do have that. And I know it's a capital expense, but have you considered that as a wish list item?
That's the first I've heard of it, Sandra. Christian, I'm not sure if you've heard of this in the past.
No, I've heard of something similar, and I don't know if they would be at every bus stop. It'd be interesting to find out what community that is that you dealt with, and if you want to provide that information to us, we'll take it for sure. But we would look at every option. I mean, if there's something out there that makes it better for the public, why wouldn't we look at it?
Yeah.
Okay, I will provide that. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Diana?
Yes, okay, the Parabus, when you apply for it, I know of 4 people now that have applied and have received no answer. This is like 2 months later. Now, one person, the person asked them that they did get a reply, and the person called her and said, "Can you walk a city block?" And she said, "Yes." Well, then you don't qualify. Now, the woman has a walker and her legs are like this, but she's also delusional. She can't walk a block. But she was rejected just like that. Like, how bad do you have to be able to use the Parabus?
So through our current.
Her doctor said she needed the Parabus.
And then she was
She
denied.
signed the papers,
Yeah.
faxed them in 4 times.
So so without knowing exactly who that individual is,
Right.
if you want to share that with us, off
I don't know her
camera.
name, yeah, well, I know her first name.
So I would only assume that person might have an advocate or someone in the family might come forward for them, but each individual process is done the same way, right? So it's available online, they take it to their doctor usually deems whatever the issue is, and then we usually.
But the doctor faxed it. Now, this one, there's a couple others, but not quite as bad as this one. The doctor faxed it 3 different times. And she still has not received word back whether she's accepted or not accepted.
Okay.
And she went back to her doctor and she said, "But I already did it." And then, "Okay, I'll do it again." And then
maybe if you wanted to take a minute afterwards, because I don't want to
Absolutely.
identify this person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You could, look into this a little bit more, would that be fair?
I can give you my business card and you can take that back to her, or if she has an
Yeah, well,
advocate.
she sort of just said the heck with it.
Well, yeah.
That one,
Yeah.
but the other ones, that, like I say, but it was only rejected once,
Right,
and they don't understand
right,
why.
right.
Other than like the doctor had put it in, but the person that called her said, can you walk a city block? And they go, yeah,
So that you can also let those individuals know if they wanna contact us individually, you can just call us on the general line.
right.
Or if they have the ability to email, or if they'd like to email
Yeah.
through the through
So I
the
just
general
wondered though, is there a sheet of paper out saying what makes you qualify and what doesn't?
Yeah, so there is an approval form that needs to be
Is
filled
there?
out by the doctor, for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
And that's also available online. But if you wanna give us the information, we'll look into this individual case for sure for you.
I figure about 75% of our people in that complex have no idea how to do all this. And don't have cell phones.
Absolutely, and you know what, we can mail the applications to you as well, if that's easier.
Okay,
Or just give them to the office and they can distribute them.
I'm gonna send
There
them
you go.
down to you at your open house.
Sure. Other questions, Derek?
Okay, we have gotten a few new buses on Parabus. But the floor plan for the newer buses is not good. Like, they're too small. Every time we go to turn, we have to hit a wheel well. Cause where the placement of the wheel well is, or the first two ones that we got, there's an elevation to get in the back. So I was wondering if we could look at some designs, but the only thing is, if we do that, start looking at designs, it takes a year just for a pair of us to get off the assembly line. So if we get picky on our floor plan, like where everybody goes and stuff like that, and room,
Can you remember offhand, Derek, with what specific bus, like, bus numbers, right?
bus 43.
43, so that's the newest Parabus.
Yeah, and it's got those wheel wells that, like, you can't bump the cars off those.
Gotcha.
Right, so they cut into the floor space.
Yeah. And then bus 41 and 42, they got the raised back. But see, we can't be too picky because it takes a year for you guys to buy it and then build it.
I would never say too picky, but again, your feedback is part of it because fleet wise, I can't remember, I believe there's 2 Parabuses coming, don't quote me, I
There's 2 on
apologize.
order,
There you go.
I can't remember the exact date when they come, I think maybe this fall, but it could be longer, so don't.
But what I'm saying is, if you start being picky on the floor size, then it's hard for them to put it on the assembly line. So how do we do that without?
Putting ourselves in a pickle. I know
Absolutely,
exactly what
yeah,
they're,
yeah.
but 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
No, but by having these discussions, all this stuff gets brought out, right? So these discussions are what's important and feed that back and we can see what else is available because I'm not sure if those are finalized yet or not.
I haven't participated in the specification process of a Parabus yet, so I can't speak to that, but it's good for me to hear this, so that when I do for the next one, I know that there's concerns that I need to watch for.
When you're on the bus individually, there are no issues, correct?
No issues.
It's when
Okay.
there's multiple
Yeah.
people on the bus.
Is it when it's 2 people leaving, you have the issue, or?
No, it's like when they try to put everybody on one of those buses during the Greyhound game.
Okay.
So yes, for sure, now that you bring up the Greyhound games, for sure, the more people that we're trying to put on those pair buses, because whether it be 5 wheelchairs and 5 walk-ons, or 4 wheelchairs, whatever the numbers are.
At a larger event,
Correct,
the design flaw becomes
yes.
More noticeable.
most assured.
Yeah.
And I mean, we like it, and speaking as a rider, I enjoy it when there are other folks on, multiple, better utilization, more riders.
Hence,
That's a good thing, but if we've got the design that doesn't, maybe we didn't fully comprehend that you can't fit 9, there may be space, but there may not actually be space, depending on how it actually has to be implemented.
Yep.
And that's.
Now, all those new ones are Chevys.
So 41 and 42 are Fords, and 43 is a Chevy.
Okay, so they are Fords, but they're not the ones like 35.
No, so the older the number, the lower the number, the older the bus. 35 is the oldest in the fleet. Derek knows the fleet really well. And that is an older style, and that has the ramp. So
Yeah.
the ramp that comes out, and myself, I like some of the older stuff too, only because exactly what Derek is mentioning, it does a better job of housing more individuals, right? So some of the newer buses, it's a little bit more challenging, but it's a little bit of the difference in some of the fleet.
And see what happens is a person may book a person, but if they got a basket on the back of their chair and they try to go in after everybody's in, then they can't get in the spot. They don't have enough room to turn it out. So it's a better if you do, better if you don't.
Well, I have a design concern on the regular bus, only because we got on the topic.
Sorry.
Okay, so.
Sorry, no.
The front seats of the regular bus is usually where me and Osmond will sit. And you know how you got the seats and you pull them up so that the chairs can go in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to pull them up, there's a handle underneath, you grab it and you pull it up, so it's like that, okay? So, but when the seat is down again, that bar is underneath there. Okay, and it's not all of them are not all like that. So I get my dog and I go and I sit down, my dog's trained to go underneath the seat. So now you got that bar that's underneath the seat, and these are the new handles. I don't know if people notice the new kind of handles on the harnesses. They're not the U shape. So this here goes right in between that U, and now my dog is stuck. And
that's not.
So
yeah, he can't sit, he can't stand, okay? So then I've gotta get him out again, because not all the buses have that. Okay, I did take a picture of it, got on my phone, I pull it up now, but my phone talks. So I gotta check which seat I'm sitting at first, and if there's no U, then I know he'll go down and under the seat. But if there's that U there, this gets stuck, and then I'm done.
So without looking at your pictures, that sounds to me like it's a New Flyer bus. But I welcome the picture, so I understand it a little bit better.
Mhm.
Because there is different seating styles. And
Yeah.
over the years, there has been, we have one bus in particular that has 3 wheelchair spots on regular transit. So over the years, as we've tried different floor plans or whatever it might be, again, there's your classic change one thing and another thing is reactive. Typically, most of the buses also have other bench seats. So that one that you're describing sits north-south. There's also other ones that would sit very close east-west. So, and not knowing exactly the picture you have, but maybe one of those east-west seats are a little bit better, where the dog sits beside you and you're facing the other way and you're away from that seat.
But that's if I can make it back there.
That absolutely
Yeah,
is
my dog's trained to go
to the first.
have it, yeah.
Gotcha. Well,
And if it's full, then he'll continue down there.
yeah, and as we, for 40-foot buses, I can't remember,
There's not very many that have that.
but if you wanna share that with us, that, or Carol, if you wanna let us know exactly, or send us some pictures,
Okay,
that will help us in future, forum.
That's a heck of a design flaw, Carol, because you're not the only person in town with a seeing eye dog.
but I'm the only one with this kind of harness.
But that harness is the new model, correct?
It's the new model, but not all schools are gonna be using this one.
No, still, that's just that's a wrinkle, no, but I'm not gonna blame the bus company on that one, that's just
It's just a fluke.
that's a technology, not measured.
But yeah, and that also might be something that if that's something new and it's a prototype and it's something that's more and more, bus manufacturers may start to accommodate for that, right?
Yeah,
But any information you can provide to us, Carol, feel free
Okay.
to send it to us.
okay.
Clearly.
Craig, did you have another comment? Not Craig, I'm sorry, Derek, did you have another comment?
Yeah, I did, with the community buses, not with the mayor buses, I'm just letting Robin know this. With my chair is bigger than the bus. So when I get on the community buses, if I'm only the one in a wheelchair, normally you can fit two in there. But because my wheelchair is a little bit bigger, I can only sit in the regular pair buses. That's why I called at the last minute, because I know my chair won't fit the community buses.
I'm not quite following this, do they substitute the community buses and the parent buses in and out?
They're not the same.
I know it's not the same bus.
No, but it has happened. But what Derek's, I think, alluding to is the actual community buses, which is 177, 178, 183,
Yeah.
only have 2 wheelchair spots in them. So when you are, if it is a little bit of a bigger chair, now there's not necessarily room for a second wheelchair. So Derek can access the vehicle. I don't know if that got lost in translation, but it makes it harder for a second chair to access that vehicle once
Okay.
that bigger chair is on there. I believe if I could make that properly. Did I say that properly, Derek?
Yeah.
Other questions? Comments?
Just one quick one. Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair,
Craig.
We've adopted the new electronic voting card. How do we reload that card? I'm 31 rides, I just want what's the process for reloading the cards?
Can I help him out? Because
Sure, yeah. If you got some information to provide, by all means.
basically what you would do, Craig, is you would give your money just like you would used to. Give your money for the Parabus Pass. They process it in the office, and then your next ride, you get a receipt, and then you clear to go.
So that we don't have to, I'm just trying, so that it's a different, reload a different card, and then reload the same card.
It's the same card.
I like to use the analogy of a gift card. If you've got a gift card that you wanna keep putting money on, that's exactly what the Uno Pass is. So the Uno Pass can now, you can continuously reload.
So I just present the check as I normally would have done with the old punch pass.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that down.
Now, there's a sour note to all this, is because if you lose your pass and you need a new one, they charge you $5 for
It
it.
hasn't happened yet, Derek, the dog went home.
Diana, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I had an experience, I ordered the Parabus. And it was for like an important appointment. I go down for the time. And in the meantime, I ordered it and then I recalled them and made sure that, yes, it was gonna be there. I go down, I'm waiting. Finally, the community bus comes and I say to the fellow in there, "Are you the Parabus?" And he goes, "Well, no." I kind of thinking that, but, and I said that the Parabus was supposed to come and get me and it's like 10 minutes late. And I don't know what to do, so he called the office And they said, we have no record of it. Now I'm panicking, and the bus driver, he's a sweetheart. Anyway, he says, go ask that cab lady, there was a cab sitting there waiting for somebody. Go and ask and see maybe, you know, you can get a ride to the hospital with them, like. So I go over and she said, I'm waiting for Diane Gerhardt. She didn't tell me that they sent a cab.
Okay,
So, I mean, thank goodness, like I was so happy they were, you know, but is there a way they could let you know?
I'm not I'll have to look into what their procedures right now. I know that we do have 2 new staff working on Parabus, that's not an excuse, but we do have 2 new people, so if it was within the past maybe 4 months, it could be a case of perhaps they just didn't know to tell you that it would be a cab.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into that one.
I'm not big on anxiety, but I'm just about wiped out.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause it was an MRI, and if you miss that, you're another 3 to 6 months down the line, so. But it worked out fine, and that bus driver, the community bus, are really kind, and
That was Dylan.
I don't know who he was,
Yeah, it was
but
Dylan.
yeah. He just really, like calming me down and calling ahead and above and beyond.
I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
glad that you had a good experience with the driver, that's excellent.
Yeah, well, I've ridden the bus many times, and the bus drivers are absolutely above and beyond.
Good, and we like that positive feedback too, at these open houses, we do like to hear what we're doing well.
Yeah, one person, he took her off the bus and took her to her door because she was having a bit of health problems. So he just knew, and he took her right to her door. Helped her unlock it.
So, if I could just give you a little bit of feedback, for your records too. Every day at like 10 o'clock in the morning, they have, UCAB working alongside Parabus till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's what happened that day that you had an MRI, you called City Transit. They booked it, but then they call the cab for you, they tell the cab your address. So what they should be telling you is, we don't have any buses available, but we'll be picking you up in a cab.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, or like the day they could have called and said, buses are elsewhere, the cab will be there waiting for you, then that would have, and the cab driver, fortunately, she was sitting there, and she said, I was only gonna wait another 5 minutes and I was taking off, she figured, you know. I said, well, nobody told me it was gonna be a cab waiting for me, I was waiting for a bus.
Right, I'm gonna
And
follow.
it worked out, it ended up, you know, everything was fine, but it would have been nice if someone had called and said a cab will be waiting for you.
Absolutely.
And I've talked to other people and they said they've had similar experiences, but they've ridden that bus many times, so they already know that if there's a cab out there, they go and ask them first.
Okay.
So lesson learned.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna follow up with staff and see what their current procedure is for that.
Right.
Okay, we're still gonna have the bus going to Hiawatha, Point to Shane, all that.
This year, yes, I'm not sure how closely they're looking at those with the review, to be honest, because those were pilot projects.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because we had done accessibility, call it at the airport.
Oh, an assessment.
An assessment at the airport, and they had mentioned there's no buses to bring anybody to the airport. And then we thought, well, maybe with the Point to Shane bus, maybe they could drop people off to work or whatever. But then that's only temporary, right? And then I'm thinking, when I had left town there last month, I had to catch my plane left at 5 to 6 in the morning. I couldn't even get the Parabus because Parabus doesn't work at that time. So, and I think about people, let's say, that was in a chair. I mean, I was able to figure out how I was gonna get there anyway. But if I was in a chair, I didn't have anybody to bring me to the airport, that's the only time that plane leaves, once a day at 5 to 6 in the morning. And the Parabus doesn't start work that early.
So Parabus has always tried to run in conjunction with our conventional service. So our conventional service starts at 5:40 a.m. It goes right through till 12:05. But that's a tight one to go out of.
Yeah.
But if that individual needed some accessibility to get out there, or there was something outside of the norm like that, I'm sure we would look into that on an individual basis. But we haven't, I think that's one of the areas that the consultant is looking at also for more accessibility. They're looking to see if there is gonna be some more outlying areas. I think one of them is east also. I think the Guard River First Nation is one of them. And I think the airport also west, and I don't know how much demand there's gonna be for it. But that's also gonna be part of the study that they're looking at.
Okay, okay. That's what I wanted to check into.
Any other questions or comments? As the former mayor would say, this has been a fruitful discussion. Yes, thank you very much, Robin and Christian, for coming. And the open house is going to be held on March 25th.
March 25th from 4 to 7 at the Civic Center, and we are going to share that on our social medias, on our website. We're gonna put posters everywhere. We can email all of this information to Diane as well. So however Diane reaches out to you guys, we can make sure that you guys get that communicated to you as well, so that you can have it in your calendar.
And the online survey will go live when?
I don't have a date. I am hoping for next week. Yes.
No, I mean, I can see doing that. My perspective, it might be easier to make the case side there. I think I have a floating meeting that I'm not sure may conflict with the transit meeting.
Right.
I'll send out both of the information about the open house and the survey.
Yes.
When I get that, I'll share that with the committee.
And
That's on Tuesday.
Will you be putting posters up at the finished restaurant?
We are putting posters up all over the place. We can certainly make sure we put some up at the finished
I'd
restaurant as well.
appreciate it a lot, thank you.
Christian, do you mind dropping some off at my house, so I'll
Sure,
put
yeah.
some up
To 277 Northern, and for both sides, Derek?
just the one.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that you get a couple to both locations. Is there any other locations that anybody wants to see these handed out to?
I'd like that's the survey, right?
This is not the survey, this is just a poster that advertises the open house.
Okay, if you have extra, I can take it to the.
I don't have extra today, no.
We'll make sure that we,
Yeah.
I'll bring it, actually, who's a good contact person? Is Jeremy good or?
Jeremy is
Heidi?
perfect,
Okay,
absolutely,
so I can make sure that I reach out to Jeremy and get him some.
and that way he'll do the other buildings as well, not just ours.
Sure.
There's like 4 of us, so.
Can you email it to me?
Absolutely.
And I can share it that way.
And thanks very much for coming, but I do have a request. And here's the request. When you move a little further down the line with the study, you said, the WSP, I think you said was your consultant?
Yes.
They're going to identify some options, they're probably gonna have some recommendations, and then the way it works, it goes to staff, and staff makes a recommendation. Not necessarily what the consultants said, hopefully it's straightened out. And then that goes to council makes final decision. But when you see those initial recommendations, or sort of an analysis of what the options are, would it be possible for this committee to be able to provide input?
Absolutely.
That would be great, that would be fantastic, thank you
The
very
sooner we get it. The design, Carol's discussion about the design on the dog. That's one that none of the folks at the bus company would have thought of, or I suspect they didn't design the harness for the dog. That's a.
Just trying to see if I
That's
have
a-
a picture.
That's a god awful, that's one nobody would have thought of, Mr. Chair. I'm
Yeah.
saying it going, because that's just completely, that's committed to cross purposes without, no one is in the wrong, trying to
That's a picture of there.
Oh, so that actually looks like a Nova bus. Can you email that to me?
Yeah.
Do you have my email?
I've got your email.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you can email that.
And thank you very much. You're welcome to stay if you like. You're also welcome to leave if you like. And I was remiss because we did not introduce the newest member of our committee. Osmond is right here.
Oh.
This is Osmond, okay?
Wait, does anyone want us to stay to chat with us afterwards, or?
Good
so far, you don't want
Okay. Otherwise, get in touch with Diane and she can certainly connect us that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us, everyone. It was nice to meet you all.
I don't know what everybody's time is like today.
run.
Did you want to take a 5-minute personal?
Coffee would be nice.
A little break?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna take a short break then, say 10 minutes.
You should have asked him.
This up in a timely fashion. Hi, Sandra. So the next item on our report, or sorry, the next item on our agenda is the annual accessibility status report. This is a, correct me if I'm wrong here, an Accessibility Director of Ontario requirement every year that the municipality reports on how we're doing with our accessibility projects. Diane puts this together for us. Diane, if you don't mind, I think it'd be really helpful, not to drag this out, but I think it would be really helpful if we just took a minute or two and went through some of the highlights of it for everybody.
Sure, thanks, Don. So this does not go to the directorate, just to be clear. This is for the municipality and for the citizens. It is part of the reporting requirements to the community on how we're doing with our accessibility plan. Did we do what we said we were gonna do? And if we didn't, how come, what things happened that we weren't able to do that? So, at the beginning of it talks about the background of it, the legislation, and then it goes into the 2024 accessibility plan, which mainly has to do with the budget and our barrier removal plan. So the things that happened were the Vulnerable Persons Registry. We contributed $20,000 annual contribution. Curb cut removal, we contributed $10,000 annual contribution, and curb cuts were completed. It's interesting to note that the Mike King, who does the curb cut removal, always does far more than our $10,000 budget goes, because $10,000 doesn't go far for concrete these days. So he does many more than are identified by the committee. APS, accessible pedestrian signals, $10,000 for a trial using the new technology. We did try the new technology. It was installed at the Metro close to where you are, Derek. There's mixed reviews on its effectiveness, but the funds were spent to give it a try. Park accessibility, so there was $10,000 for the installation of accessible swings and musical instruments, and same for the accessible outdoor seating, so that's additional benches with armrests and benches with backrests at places that are needed. Captioning of city council meetings, that is an item that has been in the accessibility plan since it was first put together almost 5 years now. Since the implementation of Zoom, captioning has improved tremendously. So I believe Leslie is able to use the captioning to aid in her interpretation of what the spoken word is, and it's actually fairly accurate. So we have not been spending any funds on captioning for city council. There may be a need for it somewhere in the future, but at this point, I believe it's quite adequate. Canadian Hearing Services, the video remote interpreting, there was a $5,000 budget for that. That will be rolling out next week. There is training, and the service will be offered after next week. So that is in process. John Rhodes Community Center, we have $2,000 kind of a contingency, no commitment, whatever the pool needed for accessible equipment. They needed a bariatric backboard because, as you can imagine, someone who has a larger body size doesn't necessarily fit on a backboard that is about 2 feet wide. So that need was identified. And then we also purchased a splash pad youth water wheelchair from those funds. We had a contingency fund of $12,000. we used $2,700 on sledge repairs for this past year. And we also committed $7,500 towards an adult change table at the downtown plaza. And that project is in progress. We also had an AODA compliance audit, so there was a request from the Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility for more or less a checklist, show us what you're doing in these few areas. So the areas where we received the audit was accessibility policies, accessibility plans, training, accessibility feedback, emergency procedures and public safety information, accessibility of off-street parking, including the access aisles and the signage, service counters, fixed queuing guides, and waiting areas. All of that was fine, but there were two areas where we were really not quite up to speed on. And one was the accessible customer service policies. I have a draft document that was sent to HR to develop formal policies so that staff have a process to follow for accessible customer service. So we're still waiting for that to come back. The other area was the training requirements. So as I had requested from everyone in the committee, that if they haven't already completed the accessibility training and the AODA training, that everybody complete that. So that was for all volunteers of the committee. The other one was third-party contractors. There was a process in place through this process. We discovered there used to be something changed and the information was lost, and that was no longer happening. But that is now back in place. So that's the reason they do audits. It's not intended to be punitive. It's intended to just make sure everybody's doing as they're supposed to and correct any actions that may be lacking. So that has been successfully completed. Some of the non-legislative projects from the Accessibility Advisory Committee that we made commitments to is the Challenger Baseball Program for $6,000 for an adult change table when they get to that program and they're funding their infrastructure up to snuff. Bellevue Park Kayak Dock, we had committed $5,500 for additional barrier removal for that to bring that up to speed for accessibility. We committed funds to the barrier-free seating platform here at the John Rhodes. We haven't heard back yet on that grant application, but I'm hoping that will come through soon. And then the last one was, I think it was at October meeting, I may be wrong, the Mansell Park playground updates. The committee had committed $5,000 from the 2025 contingency, but because it wasn't used, because we haven't got word from that grant yet, that $5,000 will come from the barrier removal budget, the contingency fund, should the grant application be successful. Other things that we worked on that were also non-legislative was an emergency preparedness workshop for the deaf community. And as a result of the information that we received back, it was found out that through COVID, persons who are deaf had a very difficult time getting information. It's one thing to think, if we look at the screen right now, there are captioning, but English, the captioning and print material is English. People who are deaf, their first language is ASL. It is not English. So it's like speaking a whole other language to them and delivering that emergency information in a different language. So it's very important to use ASL for these very important announcements and for emergency information. So moving forward, emergency services will hire an ASL interpreter to deliver all very important and emergency information as that rolls out. either myself or through the committee, we've done some accessibility awareness training. One of them was the Accessibility Awareness Week, which was held the last week of May. And there's, we set the bar pretty high last year, so we have to do something again this year, and I haven't even started planning it, and May is coming up. But we did a great job engaging staff in some activities with that. We did a review of challenging intersections. Dan, you were part of that, Carol, Derek, myself, and then some planning staff and some other engineering staff were present as well. So we reviewed some very challenging intersections to cross, so that staff could see what the challenges are, so when they are designing, they would see it with a different lens. And I think it was a very enlightening experience. I also conducted something that's called Public Accessible Spaces Simplified. It's an online training modules. It took about an hour with engineering and building staff. And the whole message with that training was how important it is to connect elements of a site with accessible paths of travel. So, you know, the washrooms, the building facilities, you know, the sidewalks, the parking, the curb cuts, you know, access to any other amenities in the space, how important it is to have all of those connected. So that was also another training. Let's see, we did a few other barrier removal activities. October was the open house. December was the, we did an accessibility and transit consultation with the Canadian Council of the Blind. We updated the customer service policy. In August of 2024, there was the respect video, and that was shared with the committee. Great awareness thing. The autism strategy is an ongoing service for the community as a resource for the community for people with autism. We offered a neurodiversity programming at the Northern Community Center through the summer, so that people who may not be able to participate in regular programming, there was a space that was set aside for them with activities that were very welcoming and very accepting of people who may participate differently. We do ongoing private swimming lessons for reason of disability, and then we did the Pointe de Chêne's accessibility updates. Looking ahead to 2026 and beyond, I'm hoping that our new plan that is taking a very long time to come together, but has quite a bit of information in it, will provide the city a roadmap moving forward, and that we can be proactive in our approach to accessibility.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Now, when we were out at the ball field, we were talking about a walking trail was that added into the Peters plan?
It's part of the new accessibility plan. The new accessibility plan is gonna be kind of a two-part document. One is going to be the plan on how we're gonna go about removing barriers, especially those that are under the legislation. And then the second part is going to be the accessibility facilities accessibility assessment. So my observances with Carol, with other committee members, of some of the barriers that still exist, or barriers that have tried to be removed but didn't quite hit the mark the way it really should be. So there's gonna be two documents, they're gonna work together.
Okay.
With city staff, and that will be part of it.
Okay, so because I remember Dawn, you and Dawn and Carol were sitting out there, and Dawn said specifically put it with the long-term travel plan.
The active transportation master plan, yes, yes, that's right, and so it is identified. Yeah.
And there's one more piece. I'll let you get to the, that's what
The voting.
What you asked me to. Great.
Oh, yes, that's coming up next, that's.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the annual accessibility report.
Thank you,
It's
Dan,
going
that's
to
a ton of
council
work,
Monday,
isn't
by the
it?
way.
Very good, Diane.
Thanks.
The next item on our agenda was the video remote integration, video remote interpretation. And you just covered it, was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, really, I covered it through the report.
Where is it going?
Oh, Civic Center, reception area. It will be available to any department in the Civic Center. So you go to reception, you activate the ASL, and then they will contact the building department or the planning or the mayor's department. And then the unit is portable and it can go wherever the meeting place will happen to be. Yeah.
Great, go ahead.
Just on that particular item, has there been a release done, Diane, so that somebody uses that? Now, I don't know. Folks who would need use of that, so would they be aware it will be installed and will be active?
There's been some discussions, but there will be a press release, there'll be some social media posts, and there'll be direct contact with Canadian Hearing
Always gonna say
Services.
the direct contact, because given the somewhat informal networks that we all have, that's sometimes the best way to let folks know we're actually going to be using something.
Yes,
Because folks don't know it's there, no to ask.
yeah, so that definitely will be rolled out once we do the training next Thursday.
You want to make sure everyone knows what, let's not get that done for.
Yep, thanks, Craig.
And the other thing on our agenda relates to the Manzo Park updates. The grant application, now we haven't discussed this, but
And we
can you tell us where
agreed.
we're at here?
Yeah,
I just need a little drink, sorry, I'm still fighting a cough.
No problem. Yeah, we talked about this last year, I think in October when the application, but when I looked back, we did not have a resolution for committing those funds. So we need a resolution from the committee in order to access those funds. So we do have a mover and a seconder. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Accessibility Advisory Committee support the use of $5,000 from the 2025 contingency fund to be used for the purpose of Manzo Park accessibility updates if the enabling accessibility fund application is successful. And the mover is Derek Lavalley and the seconder is Craig Kohler. And I'll tell you that, just to refresh memories, the grant application was for $125,000 and our $5,000 is the portion that will be needed because there's always a little bit of fund matching with that. And the project includes active play features for children with disabilities, so that means some kind of playground equipment that'll be accessible. Updates to the bocce court, including accessibility and repair and addition of more paved paths of travel. This site needs a lot more work for accessibility, but the $125,000 wouldn't cover building renovations. So we went with something that was achievable and let's hope we'll get funds.
Any questions or comments? I have a comment as somebody who's dealt with a lot of grants over the years for a lot of different people. I mean, this is in part an accessibility grant. And I think that the people who get to approve these things, one of the first things they do is they always look at to see where's the community support. Because if the community support's not there, and if the community's against it, we're not approving it. So I think our $5,000, which is relatively modest out of $125,000 development, I mean, other city departments are putting in money as well, I'm sure, is important. So can we have a mover and a seconder, we have a resolution, all those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you very, very much, everybody.
Excellent.
We have one other matter on our agenda, and that's our site plan subcommittee report, rather an extensive report. Derek, did you want to talk about this a little bit, or do you want to just open it up for questions? What would you like to do?
I would just like to open it, like, first of all, I just wanna say thank you to everybody that came out to our site plan meetings. Because it was a pleasure and an honor to work with people on these site plans. So I wasn't expecting on speaking about it, so maybe,
Yeah, you don't have to speak on it if anyone has questions.
does anybody have questions, or is my report seem?
Just for the benefit of the committee, this is the Twin Tower project. It's proposed across the street from Collegiate Heights on McDonald Avenue. The two towers are actually connected with this phenomenal solarium space in between, so you can walk from one to the other. You know, the committee spent considerable time going through this. As you can see, they had a number of comments. And we do have some other comments as well that aren't sort of beyond the scope of what we can comment on in the site plan. Suggestions for improvements to the interior building, and we'll be passing those on directly to the developer.
I do have one comment though.
Go ahead, Cal.
And I don't know, maybe it's kind of silly. Are they referring to it as Twin Towers? I'm not sure.
You know what, that's not good.
No.
That's not a good analogy, you're right. I think that whoever was writing the story for Sioux Today referred to it as the Twin Towers.
And like, I don't know how to take that.
Not well.
No.
No, they need another name, yes.
Yeah.
Come up with something less.
Like that, I find it
provocative or something.
disrespectful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's now basically one of the largest grave sites in the United States.
Mhm.
Yes, it's that, the original location, and it is treated with the same, under law in the state of New York, it's treated as a cemetery.
I did not like that.
There are certain things unnecessarily provocative, shall we say.
Like it gives bad vibes.
That's like, yeah,
yeah.
unnecessarily provocative, or.
I don't think that's the official name of the project.
No.
Sorry.
They're calling it 22.
22, is that what they're calling it?
$22.
Oh, is that,
That's the address.
that's the address, okay.
That is the address, 22?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, we will see everybody again on April the 9th. Do we know where we're going to be yet?
We do have a location we are actually gonna give it a try at the Ermitinger Discovery Center, so the new building. We're gonna give the theater a try. But I'll give you the warning that just like we were planning on having our meeting there this week, but it was canceled due to March break programming. Kathy Fisher does a great job with programming in the facility. It's very well used during the tourist season, which happens to be June, and we have a meeting in June. September and October, she's also very busy, so I will confirm that, but I would really like the committee to go and give the site a try. And then from there, you'll have the information to decide if we want to continue there or not.
What's wrong with here?
The sound here is not great, although
okay.
I managed to fix one thing on our speaker. I think it's picking up our voices fairly well. Craig, the captioning doesn't pick up your voice, it's very soft.
That may also be my intention not to.
I just thought maybe they were moving you out because your office is gone now.
No, if this space is the most convenient for the committee, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
But I just thought we would give it another try for something else.
Yeah.
If it provides at
What
least
we need.
equal or better accessibility, that's great.
Right.
But this center was designed for the committee and it'll stay that way if that's what the committee wants.
But if you haven't been to the interpretive center at the Old Stone House, it's really cool.
Doesn't hurt to be seen in the community moving about on occasion.
Good one.
Just to see if there are other locations, I know the acoustics, and my apologies for not enunciating clearly. So that, but I'm a little bit concerned not to.
I've got, well, I don't even know if this really has anything to do with the committee, but when I was in Windsor, Service Ontario moved into Walmart. So, most Walmarts follow the same pattern. They all have McDonald's. Is Service Ontario moving in to all the Walmarts? Anybody hear anything?
Not that I've heard, I mean, Service Ontario, it is, what I find unusual about Service Ontario is that they do have 2 locations and they're like a block apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in one way, it does make sense to put them someplace else, but I have not heard anything.
May I say something about that?
Go ahead, Sandra.
Sure. I'm not the expert. However, I've been in correspondence with many people in Southern Ontario, and they have clearly said that at least in Southern Ontario, the service centers are moving into key buildings. Even one has gone into Shoppers Drug Mart, I believe. So I haven't heard yet about Northern Ontario, but it's happening in Southern Ontario.
That's interesting to know, thank you.
Which are technically more accessible places, instead of calling the Parabus to take a place to just a random building for the sake of 20 minutes to then call the Parabus to continue on where you need to go, right? It's difficult, yeah.
If there are no other comments, people, thank you very much. And Leslie, thank you very much. That's great, hope to see you next time. Perfect. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Sandra.
Thank you.